So welcome everyone. We are here for day 2 of our morning Moto Blab. And again, no makeup required, be in your PJs. I did have to grab a bigger cup this morning because yesterday I wanted to rush halfway down through our blab and go refill my coffee cup. This is my favorite one of my favorite Christmas mugs. It holds like literally half the pot of coffee, so I don't have to keep running back and forth. So grab your coffee, your morning coffee, and if it's all right with everyone, I'll just kind of follow the same format I did yesterday. Again, I'm Jaynine Howard. I'm the owner of Dreamcatcher. My purpose of being here each morning is I typically read some Joel Osteen, something motivational, inspiring that gets me in the right mindset. And of course, I have my coffee, and I thought I would share that because I know a lot of people also do the same thing. So this could just be a very casual morning blab. I'm going to read, not anything lengthy. I think it took maybe 5 minutes, if that, yesterday. And then we'll talk about it and just really share and get ready to start our day. So everyone, again, welcome. Thank you for joining me for Morning Moto. We've got some open seats. Feel free to jump on in. You just click on the thing and I add you and we'll be talking. So we've got Eric, good morning. Judy's here again in the hot seat. We've got Coco. Coco's from Berlin. Welcome. What time is it in Berlin? It's 6 a.m. here in the United States. 12:02. Great. I love it. That's why I love the technology and early on lunchtime for her. So this will be, I hope, a very inspiring way for you. If you've had a rough morning or need a kind of just a mindset shift to kind of make that little cha-ching and go forward. So I'm just going to get right in. Again, I don't intend for this to be one of those 2-3 hour blabs. No, 30 minutes to an hour. I think we did go right at about 55 minutes yesterday. So I'm going to just jump right in. So, who told you that you were naked? The Lord God asked. Genesis 3:11. Our potential has been put in us by our manufacturer, our creator, Almighty God. And I'm going to just stop right there. I use the word God. If you use source, higher power, please substitute the word God for your belief system. I think the message is always applicable to everyone. It's not, strictly a certain faith base. So the message is good for everybody. Just substitute the word that you choose. Whether we use it or not does not diminish it, but it does impact our futures. The events of your past do not reduce your potential. As how somebody has treated you or what he or she said about you doesn't change your potential. Maybe you've been through some disappointments or you've had some unfair things happen in your life. None of these affects your potential, which has been put in you permanently by the creator of the universe. When we believe, we take a step of faith and stretch ourselves. That's when we start to tap into it. That's when we'll rise higher. The capability is in you. The real question is, are you willing to break free from your self-imposed limitations and start stretching to the next level? Too often, we allow experiences from the past to keep us from pressing forward. Perhaps a business partner, a coach, a relative, or a friend said, hey, do you really think you can do that? Maybe that opportunity is not right for you. What if you try and fail? What if it doesn't work out? I think as business owners, we've all heard that one. A young woman named Sherry came to me for advice. Again, folks, I'm reading from Joel Osteen. She had tolerated an abusive relationship for years in which she was repeatedly told, you can't do anything right, you're so slow, you're not attractive. After hearing that for so long, it had totally beaten her down physically, emotionally, and spiritually. She had no joy, little confidence, and extremely low self-esteem. I told her what I'm telling you. Your value, your gifts, and your talents have been put in you by Almighty God. And it doesn't matter what anyone else has spoken over you. The good news is God has the final authority. He says you have a treasure on the inside. He says you have a gift. He says you are valuable. You've got to quit playing the old tune. Put on a new one. You need to be dwelling on thoughts like, I'm creative, I'm talented, I'm valuable, I have a bright future. My best days are still out in front of me. You have to get your mind going in this new direction, because dwelling on negative thoughts about yourself will keep you from becoming all God has created you to be. Regardless of who has spoken negative words into your life, a parent, a spouse, a coach, a teacher, you must cast those words down. Words are powerful. They create barriers in your heart and your mind. Too many people don't have the confidence and the self-esteem they should have because they're constantly dwelling on negative thoughts about themselves. I don't say this arrogantly, but in my mind, all day long, I try to remind myself, I am anointed, I am creative, I am talented, I am successful, I have the favor of God. People like me. I'm a victor, not a victim. I want you to try that. If you go around thinking those kinds of thoughts, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, inferiority, won't have a chance with you. Throw your shoulders back, smile, and be looking for opportunities to stretch into the next level. Back in the Garden of Eden, after Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, they hid. In the cool of the day, God came to them and said, Adam, Eve, where are you? They said, God, we're hiding because we're naked. I love the way God answered them. He said, Adam, who told you you were naked? In other words, who told you that something was wrong with you? God immediately knew the enemy had been talking to them. God is saying to you today, who told you that you don't have what it takes to succeed? Who told you, who told you that the best grade you could make in school would be C's rather than A's? Who told you that you're not attractive enough to succeed in your personal relationship or talented enough to flourish in your career? Who told you that your marriage is never going to last? Who told you that something was wrong with you? Those are lies from the enemy. You need to reject those ideas and discover what God says about you. Well, I don't ever think I could get this promotion. Who told you that? Who told you that no good thing will, or who told you that God said, no good thing will I withhold when you walk uprightly? I don't think I'll ever get married. I haven't had a date in so long. I'll never find someone, blah, 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 blah. Who told you that? God said, when you delight yourself in him, he will give you the desires of your heart. Well, I don't think I could ever be in management. I don't think I could be a leader. Who told you these things? God said, you can do all things through Christ. The potential is inside you. It doesn't change just because you don't believe it or just because you've been through some negative experiences in the past. It has been deposited in you permanently by the creator of the universe. Scripture says God's gifts and his callings are irrevocable. See Romans 11:29. That means God is never going to take back the potential he has poured into you. He's never going to say, I'm tired of dealing with you. You've tried and failed too many times. You've made so many mistakes. Just give me my gifts back. He's not going to say that. No, the gifts and your calling on your life will be with you till the day you die, till the day you leave this earth. But it is up to you to decide to use them and to tap into them. Well, how's that for getting your morning started? It's truly, I know people that have been with me forever know me. they know this story. My mom always said I wasn't smart enough to go to college, so I joked that's why I joined the Marine Corps and did 20 years in the Marine Corps, but then got my degrees because I wanted to prove my mom wrong. And to this day, my mother has never acknowledged my undergrad, graduate, or postgraduate degrees. Never. You know what? That's one of those, I can't listen to that. That's one of those things that plays the recording, but I can't listen to that. Or you're not pretty enough to do whatever, or this or that. Those little, I think we all have those little voices in our head, and we have to make sure we squash them and know they're not true. So thoughts, comments, anything? Let's jump in some seats here, folks, and let's talk about how we're going to, squash the negativity is really how I see it. We're going to, he says here, the real question is, are you willing to break free from your self-imposed limitations and start stretching to the next level? So what's holding you back? What do you need to do today? And maybe it's you know somebody that's got some limitations that you need to speak up and say, hey, knock it off. So even if you just, I don't want this to have to be like a workbook session, but even if you just jot some notes to yourself. Welcome, David, Dan, Salman. We've got some open seats. Jump in and talk about how do you share with us your tips on squashing negativity or those people that try to steal your joy. We all have it. We've all experienced it. And I think it's shocking at times the people that are the negative Nellies, Debbie Downers in our lives. They're not the people we would think. When I was working on, I remember my undergrad, I was shocked once I was like that close to graduating. All of a sudden it seemed like people left and right were falling away as friends. I was like all of a sudden on my own little island, and somebody said, well, these group of your peers didn't think you'd ever really finish your degree, so they were like, yeah, we'll cheer you on. This group of people, now that you're ready to start a master's program, they don't have a master's degree, so they're feeling intimidated, so they're stepping back because you're making them look bad. And I noticed that when I got my master's degree, every step, when I remarried, people came and, it's like, really? People can't be happy for me? So, it's those life events that are ever changing. Starting a business, a new job, we get faced with that too. And we're like, gosh, you'd think people would be happy. And they're not.
I think joy breeds joy.
Joy breeds joy?
Joy people find other joyous people.
I agree with that. It is very much a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, folks, jump in. We've got some extra seats. I'd love to hear from you all. Eric, or type in the chat window some thoughts if you're busy getting ready this morning and just listening to us. Welcome, John. We've got a free seat here. We're talking about how to squash the negative voices we hear that are sometimes holding us back from using our true talents. And I'm a believer. I truly do believe whatever we want to do, we can do. Doesn't mean we're going to make it happen overnight. I remember somebody saying, well, if somebody wants to go skydiving or I don't remember what it was. I said, they can still do that. We can design a plan so they can eventually do that and achieve that goal. Not going to happen maybe overnight. You're not going to say, I want to learn to fly a plane and you're going to go do it right now. No, you're going to have to figure out how much the lessons cost, where do the lessons, but you do start with a plan and you can ultimately work up to it. Ah, great. Papa Bear Lamas, ask yourself, don't they know how valuable they are? Are you talking about the person with the negative voices or the person who's got saying the negative? People often hate because they're insecure. I think that is a great, great point. And it's sometimes out of fear. They're afraid the the way it was explained to me, well, people are afraid you're going to leave them. So I think that's good. And often I think when we think about knowing our own value, I've had this conversation with several Christian women business owners who are about my age. If you were on yesterday, you know how old I am. I think our era was taught to be very modest and humble, and that doesn't serve us well as a business owner or a career person or whatever our chosen profession. Now, today, we got to kind of step it up, and as Joel says in there, you've got to kind of put those shoulders back, put a smile on your face, and you've got to sell yourself. And that's often very difficult for some people. But, with platforms like Blab, social media, even with LinkedIn, you're able to, on LinkedIn, post, some of your accomplishments, what you're doing, and it does help you and others see your value, see what you're doing. But I do like that comment. Often people hate because they're insecure. Yeah. I do agree with that. Thank you. Have a great day. Those were great comments. They really give us things to think about and to remind ourselves. Because, yesterday we were talking about sometimes we meet those negative people and we have to kind of figure out, why are they being so negative? So if somebody's being, trying to limit you, hurt you with their words, that's a great point again, to go back and stop and think, what is their problem? It's, I've, had to learn a lot of times the things that are being thrown at me aren't real. It's not about me. It's whatever is going on in that person's life. So again, that person being very insecure as you're succeeding, trying to move forward. It's again, looking at things different. It's how you look at it. Don't look at it as being wounded and about you. Look at it as about them. Welcome, Ian, to the call or to the show, to the Blab. Jump in a seat. We're talking about how words can kind of limit us, other people's words, and we have to break free of those limitations, those ugly words, and be able to succeed. For those of you that weren't with us yesterday, I'm glad you're here. Every morning I'm just reading a passage from Joel Osteen's Become a Better You. As we get this group going, my goal is that some of you would want to bring something to share, and we would just share who's going to, read that day, something that we will then discuss. No makeup required. You just show up in your PJs if you're, depending on your time zone, and I will read something and we'll share it, and get prepared to have a fabulous day. That's the goal of this. Show up with your coffee cup. We got Judy is here with us. I'm not able to hear you right now, Judy. I don't know if it's my computer or yours.
You can't hear me at all?
Now I can. I can't see you. It's got the poor internet signal,
Really?
which I don't know if that means it there. Now you're back. Now you're back.
Your voice is fading in and out with me this morning, so I don't know what it is either.
My computer's breaking up.
Or it could be mine.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm here in North Carolina, and we do not have the best, it's like, gosh, I don't know why. We don't have a 4G cell phone tower. I don't have the best of internet all the time, but I did listen to yesterday's, and it recorded very well. I was very pleased with it. Yeah. So I encourage everyone to share these blabs. I know it's early morning for a lot of people. A lot of people listen to them later. I am sharing them over on my iTunes and Pinterest. I like what we're talking about, so I hope you all like it. I encourage you to jump in I always call it the hot seat, and share your thoughts, because we learn so much from each other. That's the beauty. And I think when people, as much as, part of the people trying to limit us are afraid to learn, or they get stuck in that mindset that there's nothing new to learn, they're too old to learn. that's when the magic stops. That's when the old age sets in. You know, I'm living forever. That used to always be my mantra, was I was living forever, and as long as my grandma was alive, I would never hit middle age. Well, she passed last year at 101, so now I'm in middle age. Barely. But, you know, I do think life's meant to be enjoyed. And when I personally look at, you know, my mom saying I'm not smart enough to go to college, so I joined the Marine Corps. You know, the Marine Corps was wonderful. I did 20 years. It was a stepping stone. But on the positive side, when I worked at the Pentagon, I had a general one time, he looked at me and he said, he was new on the staff. We were on the personal staff of the Secretary of the Navy. And he says, "Why are you here?" And I'm thinking to myself, and I kind of look at him like they gave me orders here to work here. And he's like, "No, and then he kind of stepped back and he said, and I was working on my undergrad, and he said, "You don't realize how smart you are. You're not supposed to be here." And I kind of looked at him, and he kind of looked around. He says, "I'm sure there's a camera." And this was back in the 90s, 1990s. So again, you know, you can do the math. He says, "No, you're meant to be one of those people that does their 20 and gets out and starts something new." He says, "You've got more to share with the world than being a Marine." And I just kind of like, But, you know, that also was very powerful and motivating for me to hear, you know, to go from hearing my mother, "You're not smart enough to go to college," to hearing this general saying, "Why are you here? You've got more to share." So think back to, you know, and when I was reading some of this, thinking back to the limitations and kind of making my list, and I remember even I think it was third or fifth grade. Welcome, everyone. I see more people join in. Hop on board. We're talking about how to calm those negative voices so we can have live up to our true potential. But this art teacher grabbed me by the hair and shook my head and thumped me on the head also with the ruler and was yelling at me because I can't draw. And to this day, I cannot draw. And if you asked me to take a measurement, you handed me a ruler or a tape measure and said, "Measure out something," I'm going to be the one counting every little thing, because it just sends me into that, like somebody kicked me in the stomach and I'm like, okay, you want 1.5 inches marked out? Okay. Because it traumatized me. And I'm from that era where my parents said, if you get in trouble at school, you're going to get twice as bad at home. So I never told her. And another gal in my class, she got spanked. She had to bend over. This teacher would make us grasp our ankles, and she'd, boom, on your backside. And we did not tell our moms till our high school graduation. The night of our high school graduation, when we're making the rounds to all the family parties, we finally told them about that teacher. And my sister can draw beautifully, so she was comparing me to my sister, and your sister can draw, why can't you? You know, this day I draw stick figures. But you know, we remember those type of things, and they do impact us. So even as parents, employers, leaders, supervisors, you know, we got to remember what we're saying sometimes, and how somebody else, it could really crush them and hurt them and stick with them for life. And trust me, I have learned over the years, I'm a Libra, if you follow any of the zodiac, you know, the scales, well balanced. And my ex-husband used to get mad at me. He says, "Why can't you just spit out what you want to say? Why do you always sit there and I can tell you're debating what to say?" And I said, because if I say what I want to say at that moment, it would be very hurtful. And the next, you know, normally if I don't say anything by the next day, it's done, it's over, it's fine. So, you know, I think even when we look at this, we need to be mindful of what's coming out of our mouths to people we work with. Because, I mean, there's days I'd love to come unglued and say some things, and I don't. Especially, you know, with social media, we see some really mean and nasty things being said right now. And that was one of the reasons I love doing this blab. I find that, you know, most people I know were on Facebook early morning from 4 a.m. to right now, but it's gotten so negative that it's like, no, I want to do something positive. So again, when we look at this, the capability is in you. The real question is, are you willing to break free from your self-imposed limitations and start stretching to the next level? So I got to ask you, what are you going to do today to break free? What are you doing that's limiting you? I'd love to hear it. Hop in the hot seat. We got 2 seats open. But if you don't want to share because it's too personal, I understand. Just know in your heart, make a note what you're going to do. What, has somebody said that you just need to, that's not true. And I like when he said, I have a couple of things I marked here. Again, words are powerful. They create barriers in your heart and mind. And think about even some of the ugly comments. When you think about it, again, the heart is the one telling the mind how to react to things. So it starts in the heart. So if somebody's hurt you here, it's making that connection. It's making that connection. So again, if you're new to Blab, you can put some comments in the chat window over here to the right. We've got some open seats. Just jump on an open seat and I'll let you join on. I'll click the little button so you can join and chat with us this morning. I'd love to hear your tips on how you stay positive in sometimes such a negative world, or how you inspire others, or somebody's inspired you to be the better you, to live your true potential. I always feel a little sad when I see people working at jobs that I'm thinking, was that really their chosen job, or are they settling? I had a client yesterday, got a no thank you letter for a job he applied for, and I had to tell him, finally I said, he thinks I'm always way too positive because I always say rejection is God's protection. I said, well, 2 things on that. I said, 1, I don't think you were qualified for that job. This is who I think they wanted, but you wanted it. You did it on your own. I wasn't going to stop you, but I don't think you were qualified. 2, I think that job was not at the level you're at. You were settling for that type of a position. And he looked at me and he's like, oh, okay. Then I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm not going to feel bad about it. If you don't think I was qualified and you don't think it was one I should have done anyway, I'm like, okay. So he needed to hear that, but he didn't need to hear it when he was applying, because he wouldn't have listened anyway. He wasn't in the right mindset to hear it. But hopefully he'll find the right job, and I do believe rejection is God's protection. It's keeping you from making a mistake, whether it's working with somebody, you don't get the job you want. Don't settle. Figure out, and I think it's okay, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, it's okay to change lanes, reinvent yourself, however you want to put it, so that you are living your true potential. And I look at the 20 years in the Marine Corps was a stepping stone. It helped me get my undergrad. It got me, to do certain things that I wouldn't have done if I had stayed in Holstein, Iowa. And then working as a therapist and realizing, no, that's not where I want to be. That again, I will always use that education. That education carries over into everything I do. And I love teaching. I also am a college professor on top of being a serial entrepreneur. And to get, when we talk about, where did he say here? There was a thought in here I liked that, who said, he kind of keeps on this, who said, and words are powerful. I had a student yesterday, I'm very interactive professor. I teach online and in a classroom. And I said, I make real comments to my students online, and a student replied several times yesterday. We're only yesterday was day 2 of the class, that he's never seen someone so interactive, because I recorded a welcome video, told them the expectations, and I replied to each of their comments. And he said, yours weren't just cut and paste. Yours were really genuine words. Wow. So words do matter. Taking time to listen, taking time to just share a smile with somebody, sharing coffee here in the morning. We just never know who that's going to impact. So when that throw your shoulders back, put a smile on your face, and be looking for opportunities to stretch to the next level. I think that's very important. I think that, welcome Chris, she speaks, see, I can't talk, I haven't had my full pot of coffee. She Speaks Global. Pearl, everyone who's joined on board, welcome this morning. We are here just having our morning Moto and our coffee. I say no makeup required, just jump on board in your PJs and share some inspiration, some ways to get motivated and have a positive mindset. Have a positive mindset. Are we ready for the, and the format we've been using for those of you who are new? Of course, we're only on day 2, so I'm new here too. I'm reading from the Joel Osteen, Become a Better You, and it's got, a little lesson for us to remember, which I think are very powerful. And I have found over the course, I've had several of his books, when I don't take time to read something from him or just something very uplifting, the day just kind of starts off on a little negative. But when I've been reading, I'm very more in a good place to step up into my role, whether it's business owner, professor, mom. Even though my kids are grown, I'll always be their mom. It just puts me in a better place. It reminds me to keep my mouth, sometimes they're not ready to hear what, as a coach, I'm very blunt. Most of my people know, as the retired Marine, sometimes it does come out, but sometimes they're not quite ready to hear what they need to hear, so I do hold back a little bit. I think that's all very important. And in this format, there is a daily prayer, so I'm going to go ahead. We're right at 6:30, halfway through. I'm going to go ahead and read that so we can have something else to think about, so ponder. So today's prayer to become a better you. Father, I know I have to be careful to whom I am listening. I realize I can even tell myself lies. So I want to hear your words over the barrage of messages that seek to control and bind me. I want to live by your design. Amen. Be careful to whom you're listening. We are so bombarded by advertising messages, use this shampoo and your hair will do all these things, or you need this lipstick, this, right now, I just laugh sometimes, if you're, look at the tabloids or the magazines at the grocery store. I used to like to read Women's World, and I would joke that every week I pick it up and every week I don't lose weight. Or Dr. Oz, every episode is something new, miracle, it's going to make my wrinkles go away. I'm going to lose 30 pounds and this and that. But it's like, I haven't had time to try the one from yesterday, and now you're preaching a new one to me. So be careful. We just get bombarded by these messages. And you know what? Especially when I think of women and weight loss and things, it's like, it's just so blah. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so blah. I
think this has to do with our value, Jaynine.
It's what?
I think this has a lot to do with how we view our value, and that comes from the Creator. We can't really change that, I don't feel.
Yeah. It's back to knowing the value.
Just my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. And the belief system, knowing, and I'm not saying we should have free reign to be unhealthy. We all know, honestly, if I drink my coffee black, which I joke all real Marines drink their coffee black. But, some people have so much cream and sugar in there, and they're like, I have my coffee. No, you have your morning cocktail. Or, we have to be honest. I'm honest that I have a world's biggest sugar, sweet tooth. I love my afternoon sweets. My Marines used to, I remember one slapped a bag of peanut M&Ms on my desk. And I said, what is that for? And he said, it's your feeding time. I said, my feeding time? He said, yeah, Gunny, every day. And he points the clock. At this time, if you're not eating cookies or candy, you get a little bit ugly with us. And I said, no, I don't. And I looked at everybody else is going. So, we know what our bad habits, our vices are. And we know where we need to maybe rein them in. To be a little bit healthier in our exercise, kind of that whole self-care we talked about yesterday. But we can't get so hung up with all these outside messages of, no, it'll drive us nuts. You do have to live. And, I've put on I joke, my military 30. I've put on my military 30. And it was like, but, if I constantly fight to maintain a low weight, when do I finally get to enjoy going to lunch with girlfriends? When do I finally get to enjoy dessert? When do I finally, am I going to be depriving myself and miserable my whole life just to, you've got to find a happy balance. And the part in here even, so again, be careful who you're listening to. That even includes, as he says, the lies you tell yourself. Be careful of the lies you're telling yourself that I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not, We could stand in front of the mirror all day long. I'm sitting here and it's like, okay, I've got my hair thrown in a bun, but I got this little thing now poking up and then this little wisp and, I've got a wrinkle, We could tear ourselves apart all day. Now I've made it even look worse and dorkier. So, be careful you're not doing that to yourself. Know when you are, telling yourself a lie. Now I'm self-conscious that I've got my hair all dorked up. But separate fact from fiction. And know there are things, I come from a family with hips. We have hips and we've got tummies. Guess what? It's funny because I just remembered this one when we're talking about things that people have said. I had a dentist. I went to a dentist back in, I remember it was 2008. And that's how bad it was. And the first thing he looked at me, and I was trying to show you my profile. He said, I can't believe you've never had braces. Nobody ever told you to get braces? And I said, no. My top teeth are pretty straight. My bottom are crooked. And he said, and this jawline. We need to break your jaw and move it back. And I'm thinking, everybody in my family's got this jawline. We've all got this little dimple in our chin. My daughter has the same dimple. We've all got cheekbones. Mine aren't as prominent since I've done the military 30. But I thought, I left there like really, like almost in tears. And I called my daughter and I said, am I that ugly? He made it sound like when people see me, when I'm walking down the street and people see me, they run screaming in the opposite direction because I am so hideous looking. And it really was like, ugh. And my daughter, she's on the phone and she says, Mom, ignore him. Don't ever go back. You are not ugly. Da, 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 da. But it caught me, but I was, able to not let it hold me back. But if he'd caught me on the wrong day with those comments, I could still be stuck in that. But I thought, how often do we, as all of us really, we go to a dentist or anyone and they want to alter our looks, but they're our family looks. I'm like, everybody in my family looks like this. We all have, from my grandparents, this is a inherited jawline, a profile. we don't want to look like everybody else. So again, take some of these comments with a grain of salt. Let them just pass on by. Don't entertain it. Don't feed it. Don't let it get you down. Know that, and remember, God gave you certain gifts. God doesn't want us all to look alike. He didn't invent, give people the power to do plastic surgery or the dentist to break our jaws and move them so we all look like the Stepford wives. No, that's not what it's about. So be careful what message you're listening to. Have you seen a good-looking doctor or surgeon? I've seen some good-looking salon people who do the Botox and they make sure they're looking absolutely. But you're right. And it's kind of like, the doctor lecturing on stopping smoking or being overweight. And it's like, really? You're a little, Yeah, good comment. That's a great reminder. How can you trust them to do a good job with the way they look? Exactly. It's kind of that, you want to set the example, and that carries over into even us walking with, we tell our children to, be proud of who they are, and, but yet some of the marketing messages and things. So as a parent, grandparent, it is that step up and be proud. Put a smile on your face. I tell my clients, when you're getting ready to go for whether it's a job interview or just even stepping out in the world, don't forget your smile. It's your number one accessory. It's free. Everyone can smile. And it's amazing. I've had people, tell me at times I can look really mean and cold, and it's like, well, no, I'm just really observing and thinking. So I have to be mindful of that I do sometimes get into my zone of just, I guess it's a Marine Corps thing. But, a smile will always, kind of brighten things up. It is a good accessory. And today's message is, no good thing will God withhold when I walk uprightly. No good thing will God withhold when I walk uprightly. So if you're doing good, you're living well, and I mean, being a nice person, uplifting, God's with you. Your guardian angels are with you. If you believe in guardian angels, you're never alone. You are never truly alone. And I reiterate what I talked about yesterday. If you're worrying about something, turn that worry over to God. Let Him handle it. So again, you can focus on doing what you love to do and what is your purpose, and stepping into that purpose. And if you're not quite where you want to be right now, you're working a job, it's a job, then I encourage you to make a conscious effort. Think about, what can I do today that's going to get me one step closer to living my life purpose? Maybe it's saving, just saving even $1 or a quarter, or reading, signing up for a class, or doing some volunteer work. Or if you're working and you want the next job at your company, start looking at that job description. What do you need to do now to prepare for that job? What could you be doing? What extra assignment? Start planning. I think it's sad when people, all of a sudden they get to 50 or 60 and they say, oh, no, I'm too old, or I've done nothing. Well, and I've had people even get mad at me when I'm writing a resume or a bio. Well, there's no wow in it. And I said, well, then give me some wow. What have you done? I have tried to pick your brain and you keep telling me, no, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. That's not my fault. If you don't like what you see in your resume, if you don't like what you see, when you get a performance evaluation at work, you have the power to change that. And every day just doing something will get you closer. But we all have that within us, and it is quieting those negative voices, the voices that don't matter. I have an exercise, and I'll post it on my website, and on tomorrow or next, when we're here on Monday, I'll share the link so you can go download it. It helps you examine your circle of influence and notice the role that people play in your life, because it's interesting. The ones you think will be a cheerleader often are not. But we've got people who sabotage us constantly, and we just really don't notice it. They may call when they know you're trying to do homework or get the kids off to bed. You know, I remember being single mom and dating, and I would tell people, do not call me between this time and this time. I am putting my kids to bed, or it is family time. And they would call. And I'm like, don't sabotage my family time. Oh, well, no. You set those boundaries and you honor them. But you work on getting, figuring out who is, in that. What role do people have? We all need various people in our lives. We need the cheerleader. We need the person who's going to tell us the truth. We need, some of our friends don't. Some people are only there when they need us, and they're not there when we need them. And it's interesting to identify those types, because again, then you know who to listen to and who really not to listen to. So I hope everyone's going to go off and have a fabulous day, be in a positive mindset. Again, be careful who you listen to. Listen to your heart. Listen to Spirit, God, Source. Know that He has the best for you in mind, because He's our Father. He's our Creator. He's not going to take back anything. He's not going to give up on us, no matter how many times we screw up. He is always going to be there for us. And I think there's comfort in knowing that. And at some point, sometimes you just got to say, you got it, or I can't wait to see how this is going to turn out, because you're in the driver's seat. I remember when I worked as a therapist, I had a client, my clients were all developmentally delayed teenagers with a dual diagnosis. And this little girl, she was 16, and it was with, I want to say, is it Carrie Underwood, Jesus Take the Wheel, was the song out. And she wanted to sing that so bad. So I downloaded back, when everybody had the iPod, and you could download the song for $1 or something. So I downloaded it, and she would come for her therapy session. And that was after we, had her therapy session, she would practice singing. And she says, well, I want to sing for everybody in group therapy. Now, there's a lot of teenage boys that I was just scared they were going to be mean and ugly, and I just kept putting it off. Oh, well, let's practice, And finally, she just was like, well, Miss Jaynine, why don't you want me to sing? And I didn't, I honestly didn't know what to say, other than I was scared for her. But we went in to do group therapy, and she says, I want to sing for everybody. And everybody's like, okay. And she sang Jesus Take the Wheel, and I was just caught off guard. All the boys, and again, teenage boys, dual diagnosis, developmentally delayed, you never know what you're going to get. They gave her a standing ovation. I cried. I was so happy for her. She cried. She just, but that song does get to you. And there are days you just got to say, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. I'm just going to sit here and, you listen to that song, and it, she's spinning, the car's spinning on the ice, and she's got the baby in the back seat, and you're just like, oh my God. And that is life. That sometimes is truly life. But it's our beliefs. It's knowing somebody out there, up there, has got our back, is very powerful. So remember that when you go out into the world today, that let Him help you. Let Him help you, guide you. Remember, smile, best accessory you can do, you can give someone, that you can wear. Sometimes somebody just needs that smile. And if somebody is being mean and ugly, remember, we've had some great comments this morning over in the chat window about, it's about them. It's their insecurity. That's why they're being ugly and saying nasty things, and I think we've all had that time where we thought our best friend would say congratulations or be there to yay, and they weren't, and you're like, why aren't they celebrating with me? And that's why it's their insecurity. They're afraid you're going to move on. So recognize that, and recognize, again, like I said, I'll post next week on my website so you can download this form, Circle of Influence, and pay attention to really who is the positive and who's the negative in your life. It's often kind of very, very interesting. So I'm just going to read a couple more passages, repeat what I read earlier, just some thoughts. So those that have jumped on, welcome everyone who's been joining us. So you can get the part of the message that you may have missed. We're talking about preparing, being a better you. The real question is, are you willing to break free from your self-imposed limitations and start stretching to the next level? I hope everyone is going, yes, I am going to break free of I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not whatever it is, smart enough. I told you my stories. And I had to do that. I had to break free. And sometimes, and it's in this exercise I'll share next week, you almost have to divorce those people who are holding you back mentally, draining you, physically holding you back. If somebody's sending you into therapy, please break free of that person. That's not love. That's not love. Remember, you are creative, you're talented, you're valuable. You have a future. The best days are still out there. If yesterday was great, today's even greater, and tomorrow is going to be the greatest. Because that's just the way our life is. We weren't made to only have one good day back on, 20 years ago. No. And remember this, we all have free will. We have the ability to make choices. You chose to be here. I chose to be here. We can choose who we listen to and who we just go, and go, I used to always say, I'll take that under advisement. And in my brain, I'm thinking, you are full of hot air. I am not listening to that. So have your little script, your little polite script, but don't take it personally. And pay attention again, what is the heart saying? Because the heart is going to tell the brain how to react. And sometimes you do need to, because we don't want to be the one saying the hateful comment either. So we've got to kind of know who or what pushes our buttons. We need to know who's going to get in your way. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I always say to myself in that situation, I always say to myself, this is where my God has me at this moment, and I have to have the grace to handle this situation, whether it's to walk away from those people or, like you said, divorce them. We have to understand that that takes a little bit of time to get to that point, but this is where God has me, and I have to have the grace to deal with it.
And, those are excellent points. I want to piggyback on that real quick. I don't think God wants us to be bullied. I think that's where setting boundaries. Right. And like you said, it takes a point. We build up to before we divorce somebody or quit a job or, finally say something we don't want to really say. But I don't think he wants us to be in abusive relationships. I don't think he wants us to be bullied verbally, any type of abuse, or be the abuser. So you do have to set boundaries, set clear boundaries with people, and protect yourself. Yeah. And that's part, you can't be the best you. You can't use your talents, your gifts Ian, great. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back here next Monday. Guys and gals, this will be every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 6 a.m. Coffee, just some morning inspiration to set us in the right mindset. And again, I hope you all start joining in the hot seat so it's not just me and Judy. Share with us your tips. I've loved reading your comments because they're very valuable, because we all see things different, and sometimes hearing it in a different way helps somebody else. So I love seeing the comments. Again, connect on Twitter. Great place to connect with each of us. I'm Coach Jaynine. You'll find me on Twitter, Coach Jaynine. My business is Dreamcatcher. You'll find me over on Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. I am everywhere. Like I said, I'm posting these also. If you miss an episode or a show, you can find the replays here, but you'll also be able to find them on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I encourage everybody to share them. The people that listened yesterday after the show said they really liked them. They liked the message. It was very inspiring. So that helps me know, I'm doing the right thing. Again, I'm going to be just reading a short section from this book as we continue on. I hope more will join, bring a passage of something that's inspiring to you to share, to jump in the seat and share that. I welcome that. You have a certain topic you want to talk about, just jump on board and say, hey, I'd like to, or a scenario that you need us to help you work through how to handle. Hey, that's why we're here, so that everyone has a great day. And sometimes while you're getting ready, you're thinking, how am I going to handle this meeting or this negotiation or this conversation? Hey, bring it here. And there's plenty of us who've all stages of life, walks of life. We'll be able to, I'm sure, help you design a script or make you feel better about a situation you have to handle. Anything else? Anybody else? Comments? Jump in real quick. I want to keep this right at an hour. I know everybody's got work to do, exercise to go do, some self-care. Judy, thanks for being back this morning. So I'm not having to sit here by myself. I'll give you a hint, folks. When you jump on the seat and we tweet this out, it's showing all of us. So if you're a business owner or you've got a message, jump on and tweet it out so that everybody can see you're on this blab with me. And when it saves, it even shows you. So it's kind of a little business perk, marketing. Yeah. But again, this is not where you got to put on makeup and get dressed to show up. No, this is just show up, no makeup required. Bring your favorite beverage, depending on what time of day, what time zone you are on. Love that people are jumping on from other time zones so that it can help them have a great afternoon or a great evening. So let's just wrap this up one more time. I'm going to read through the prayer just one more time so we all are ready to go and be the best we can be. Father, I know I have to be careful to whom I am listening. I realize I can even tell myself lies. So I want to hear your words over the barrage of messages that seek to control and bind me. I want to live by your design. Amen. And today's thought: to become a better you. No good thing will God withhold when I walk uprightly. So again, God's with us, source, power, the universe. He's with us every step of the way. He wants us to use the gifts he gave us. He wants us to quiet those negative, nasty voices we're hearing that are telling us we're not good enough, because we are. We've all got unique talents. Now, there will be things that I'm not as good at as somebody else, but you know what? I'm not supposed to be a car mechanic. I'm not supposed to be the lawn gal, because my job, my purpose is something else. We all have our purpose. So please if you're not living your purpose right now, and I think we always can be working more at improving the services we provide, our purpose. We can be fine-tuning it. finding and uncovering new things that are our purpose. As we age, we get older, we learn new things, our purpose changes. And that's okay, but it's recognizing that. So make a list or make a list in your brain of things that you're not going to listen to, you're not going to tolerate because they're holding you back. Put those shoulders back, put a smile on your face, and everybody go forward and have a very blessed day. Have a great day. And we're not going to be here tomorrow or Sunday, but we'll be back on Monday with another Morning Moto. Please share the replay. Share this with everybody. If you're loving it, please come back. If there's something you don't like, tell me, and we can make some changes because we're just getting started on our Morning Moto. Everyone have a most blessed day, and I'll see you on Monday. Cheers.